Hello and welcome to Chart of the Day Cafe for Tuesday, February 27th, 2018. Trading stocks is a high level of risk and viewers should complete their own due diligence on any stock or underlying that they intend to own. 100% of the content of this video and communique is intended for journalistic and educational purposes only. This video and all indicators, strategies, and articles herein should not be construed as investment advice, not making any recommendations, always for your further homework. Good morning, Sue here with my regular Tuesday, Thursday morning video. Hope you had a great weekend. I'm back from the cottage, so hopefully the sound quality is a little bit better than it was in the last couple of weeks. There's lots going on in the market, so with that, let's get into today's video. If you're a regular viewer, then you know I always start my videos off with a look at the Russell Index. I use the Russell as my simple proxy for the markets overall, my thinking being I want to align my outlook on the day, on the week, with the direction that the market is going in. So as long as the Russell is moving higher and in an uptrend, I'm adding new names to my watch list. When it's not, I'm just sitting tight and regrouping. So I like to step back and take a look at things from a big picture point of view. So we're looking at the IWM, which is the ETF that represents the Russell 2000, and we're looking at the 5-year monthly chart. So the big picture view, I've taken away all my drawings. We've been talking about the look of the candles for the month. Here's the candle for the month of February so far. Pretty wonky candle if you ask me, with this long wick. We only have a couple of trading days left in the month, so we'll see how this ends up at the end. But we want to be aware of that intense selling came in at the beginning of the month. We want to make sure that that does not start to come back in like it did at the end of January, creating this wick here. But so far so good. We retraced a lot of the lost price retreat that we experienced at the end of January, beginning of February. So this is the big monthly look. So now I'm going to put my drawings back in because we like to have that reference point. If you're a regular viewer, then you know I always talk about these lines. This is long-term support resistance, the blue, or ignoring it for now. The orange line down here is kind of medium support resistance. It corralled price in along with this black diagonal line since the beginning of 2017. The most important line to me is this one here. I want to make sure that price stays up and over that line. The pink is short-term support. Again, we're still looking at the monthly candles, but as you can see, the orange line corralled price through all of 2017, and then in the latter part of the year, it pushed up and over our black diagonal line, where it stayed until this month of February, where it bled below. So you want to be kind of aware of that and have that in the back of your mind. I'm going to move it away from the 5-year monthly to the 2-year weekly. Here's that same orange line, same black diagonal line, pink line. So we're going to ignore this area down here for now and really concentrate on what we see here. So we had that price decline at the end of January, the big massive selling with volume. But the last couple of weeks, it stopped at our pink line of support, and it has recovered the black diagonal line. That's nice to see. We just want to make sure that in the next couple of days we're able to stay up and over this area. So I'm going to zoom in, go from the 2-year weekly to the 6-month daily, and I was saying last week, okay, we're up and over the black diagonal line, but I wanted to see more conviction come in because these candles were all a bit wonky. But yesterday and Friday, we had an open and close up and over the black diagonal line and more conviction in the candle. Not a ton of volume. So we want to make sure that we can continue price moving this way on the Russell and that price strength stay with the market. So we'll be keeping a close eye. But with price on the Russell up and over the blue, up and over our black diagonal line, and with price strength for the most part in the last couple of days, we're going to talk about a new name for our watch list. And so with price on the Russell up and over our black diagonal line and up and over the blue 8-day EMA and showing that price strength, I am adding a new name to my watch list this morning. It's actually not a new one. I featured it before, but I'm going to re-feature it and go through all the metrics that I normally use when I add something to my watch list. And the company is Broadcom Limited, ticker symbol AVGO, trades on the NASDAQ exchange. Before I get into the chart, let me tell you a little bit more about the company. You know me, I'm all about the scores underneath my charts, and Broadcom is got those brilliant scores I look for, the high value growth scores that I love. Broadcom is in the semiconductor space. The company offers a range of products in end markets, including wired infrastructure, wireless communications, enterprise storage, industrial, and other purposes. I'm sure a lot of you are pretty familiar with the company. It's got a really high value score, which is the first thing I look for, and a forecasted earnings growth rate going forward of 31%, a current PE of 13.55, and it pays a dividend. It's got a dividend yield currently of 2.77%. So those are the metrics I like to see. Now let's get into the chart. We're looking at the 5-year monthly chart. As you can see, beautiful uptrend. I featured AVGO in a Chart of the Day Cafe video back here in April of 2016 when it was leaving this area of consolidation and looking perky. Sure enough, it had this beautiful rise since then. It consolidated. We refeatured it here in October of 2017 and again in November. And I'm going to feature it again here in this area because it looks pretty good to me. As long as the markets keep going higher. That's my prerequisite. So 5-year monthly chart, you can see that it consolidated here for a time, had this lift, but look at the candle shaping up so far for the month of February. That's a pretty bullish looking candle. To me, it says in a continued strong market environment, AVGO wants to find that value, right? It's got a very high value score, meaning it's on sale. So should price strength continue, AVGO is saying here it wants to find its true value and possibly move higher. But I like to see that candle on the monthly. So let's move it away from the monthly to the 2-year weekly. Again, there's that consolidation. The green circles are where I put AVGO forward in the past. It fell below, like everything else. It fell below this area of support with all of that wonky price action earlier in the month of February, but it's up and over that area here and trading in an area here that I think looks kind of interesting. So I'm going to zoom it in from the 2-year weekly to the 6-month daily, and price is up and over the blue 8-day EMA. I look for a 3 and 8 cross, so I'm just going to put that on there. You can see that the pink is over the blue. It's got that 3 and 8 cross. What I will be looking for, though, is I want to see price move that way. So I want to see it show strength off this orange line of support and a move out beyond this black diagonal line going that way. I want a little more upward price movement. Personally, that's what I'm going to look for. I'm going to switch it back to my plain study. So with that, I'm going to put a little green circle on my chart and say, keep an eye on AVGO Broadcom. It's got those beautiful value and growth metrics I look for. Great company. I'm going to be keeping an eye. Along with our new watch list pick, I also like to take a look at the sector that it's in, and for that we're looking at XLK, which is the ETF for the technology sector. 5-year monthly chart, looking strong, beautiful uptrend. I want to note, though, the candle for the month of February has this big long wick, so it did go lower in the month, and we're coming into the top of the prior candle range, the top of the range. So I want to be aware of that and make sure that price does not start to slip here, but for the most part, looking very strong on the technology side. Also like to take a look at seasonality, and for that I go over to equityclock.com, really excellent site. And you can see we're looking at the seasonal chart for Broadcom, and it has that beautiful seasonal strength at this time of year that I like to see. I also spin over to FinBiz, which is, again, one of my favorite sites. And I like to see, go down to the bottom for my new pick, and I like to see if analysts are supporting it. And as you can see, look at this suite of beautiful analyst coverage for AVGO Broadcom. Looking good. You want to be aware, they're in the process of making a bid for Qualcomm. There's a bit of a battle going on between Qualcomm and Broadcom, NXP, but essentially Broadcom is trying to buy Qualcomm, and it looks as though they're just kind of bickering back and forth on price and value. Might be resolved soon, but that's something that you definitely want to know. So what I also like to do is look at articles below this section here on FinBiz. I'm going to include one of them with today's video. It's all about, it's a Reuters article about this Broadcom offer for Qualcomm, so it might be helpful for you to know that. And so to quickly recap, I started today's video with a look at the Russell Index, and we note that that price strength has come back into the Russell. Having said that, today might be a bit of an interesting day with that Jerome Powell testimony, so we want to make sure that that price strength continues here. We looked at the sector that AVGO is in. We looked at the ETF XLK, which is the ETF for the technology sector. We step back to take a look at it on the 5-year chart, and we note that on the 5-year it's in a strong uptrend. We looked at the chart for AVGO, the 5-year and 2-year, and we note that it's in an uptrend overall. And on this 2-year chart, it's at an area of possible price continuation. Remember, we saw that nice bullish looking hammer shaping up in this area of support resistance. Should it go over, that would be very good for AVGO. It's got an excellent value score and an excellent growth score, with a forecasted earnings growth rate of 31%. That's a nice high number. A current dividend yield of 2.77%. It already has a 3 and 8 EMA cross, which I use, but as I said in my video, I want to see that price strength tick higher from here and move out of this little pattern on the daily chart. So you might want to just take a look at that. It's got seasonality in its favor. It's got analyst support. We spun over to FinViz and we could see that it's got a lot of analyst support. Current PE of 13.55, and it looks as though earnings will be on March 15th.